Meanwhile, at the COP27, world leaders launched a water adaptation and resilience action plan. It is aimed at offering hope to drought-ravaged populations, especially in the Horn of Africa. Now, the initiative is expected to foster political efforts in establishing Pan-African water hubs. The AWARE project, as the initiative is referred to, will also address water security as part of climate change adaptation and will focus on three priorities, which are decreasing water losses worldwide, improving water supply, and supporting the implementation of policies and interlinkages between water and climate action. Now, according to data reports, an estimated 2 billion people lack safely managed drinking water, while 3.6 billion people don't have access to safely managed sanitation. Well, let's now delve further into all this with Professor Shannon Yi from the Georgia Institute of Technology. She joins us now. Great to have you on the show with us, Professor. Now, let's start off with the fact that you've been on a mission to solve the water and sanitation crisis. So let's start off with that water adaptation and resilience action plan that, of course, we just mentioned was launched at the COP27. Now, they say it will address water security as part of climate change adaptation. What are your thoughts on that plan?
Yeah, thank you, Ucha, for having me here. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm still learning more about this AWARE initiative and its plan. I like all three of the priorities, particularly the last one, which is looking at the cooperation interlinkages between water and climate action, specifically how it focuses on sustainability goal number 6. So it sounds good, and I'm looking forward to learning more about it.
Well, it looks like we've lost Professor Shannon Yi's. Oh, it looks
Uh-oh.
like we still have him on the show. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Well, let's move on to the second question because
Yep.
we also talk about innovation and engineering as critical to ending the world's water scarcity issue. How so? Give us some more insight into how that will look.
Yes, from my perspective, a lot of our water challenges are more of a water management challenge. A lot of our rivers and streams are contaminated with wastewater, human feces, for example. And so we need to really find technological solutions that can really solve the problem at the source. And the source of the problem is really keeping waste out of our waters and our streams. So to do that, we may not be able to rely solely on centralized sewage treatment plants that rely on sewers to transport waste long distances to these plants, because in the threat of, I guess, climate uncertainty, some of these systems can get flooded, and therefore we'd have a release of sewage into our rivers. So an alternative option would be to actually treat the waste on site in an individual's home. Right? So instead of centralized sanitation solutions, how can we have decentralized solutions where we basically take that entire infrastructure and turn it into an appliance in your home that can clean up your waste? So if we can solve the problem at the source, we can keep a lot of our rivers and streams cleaner and really address the water management problem, thereby not having a water scarcity issue as much. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. And speaking of innovative solutions, you actually led a global team of researchers, engineers, and scientists, and you developed a sustainable sanitation system. Talk to us about that system and how it can be a game changer in terms of achieving some of the things you mentioned.
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, one goal would be to take that sanitation infrastructure and convert it into an appliance that you can have in your home. And that's what we've been able to do with this team of scientists, engineers, and designers, is we've actually been able to create this appliance that can treat your waste in your home, right? So it processes your wastewater, your feces, for example, and turns it into pathogen-free solids. And it's able to then take the water, filter it, purify it, and clean it up so you can reuse it. So in this manner, you're able to reduce your water consumption as well as your water dependence. And you're able to clean up the waste, preventing it from getting into any of our rivers and streams. So it's been a global collaboration with numerous partners, and I'm just very excited that the technology is working and we're able to test it in locations around the world, including South Africa.
And before we leave you, Professor, I just want to quickly know how soon will we see these toilets available for many across the globe?
That's a very good question. It really depends upon the commercialization timeline. Right now, we've been demonstrating this technology, but we're actively looking and engaging with commercial manufacturers who would like to take these prototypes and move them forward to commercial products. So if all things go well, I'm very hopeful that within the next 3 to 4 years, a manufacturer may be able to develop a product really moving this technology forward for commercial adoption.
Well, that certainly is exciting. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor, on the show and giving us more insight there. That, of course, is Professor Shannon Yi from the Georgia Institute of Technology on water scarcity.